Hey everybody, today we are going to talk about diagnostic tests for teenagers. Let's start by the definition of a diagnostic test. It is an instrument which helps to determine students' strengths and weaknesses. Also, it lets teachers know what cognitive skills and knowledge the students are having trouble with. To prepare a diagnostic test, some aspects must be considered. First, we have to consider a student's age and English level. Also, we have to take into account the previous content and course objectives. The instructions of the test must be clear and concise, and the time they will require to develop the test. See an example of a diagnostic test for teenagers. First, we have the personal information of students and the instructions. So we have to be clear in this part for students to avoid any misunderstanding. Then we have a listening part in which students have a multiple choice option and in which they have to choose the answer. Then we have the vocabulary and grammar section in which they have to decide which option best fits in the gap. After that, they have the reading part in which they have to read the text and select true or false. Finally, we have the writing part in which they have the instructions, the number of words, and the main points they must include in the letter. The speaking section must have enough time for them to develop and must include a rubric. It is important to consider that in this diagnostic test, students are not evaluated alone. They are evaluated as a course to see their abilities, knowledge, and skills.
Also, how it is used? It is used to know the level of the course. The grade of this exam it is not individually. It says that a teacher take the notes according to know how the course is going on and how to could upgrade. To know in which part of the grammatical points the course have difficulties to improve in the future. And also, and the more important, this quiz is in multiple choice questions. Finally, the diagnostic test is performed by 5 typical questions, that is grammar, listening, vocabulary, writing, and reading. So there are some strategies that students can follow to complete this. For example, in grammar, focus on the tense and the questions, because students can identify in little problems the tense. Also, listening could be global understanding and word stress. This is the most important, to know in which part the word have the stress. And in vocabulary, identify the verbs and phrasal verbs. Furthermore, there are 2 sections that the diagnostic test doesn't have, because it takes a lot of time to complete, that is writing and reading sections. But in some cases, a diagnostic test has. So in writing, it is recommended to write a brainstorming to separate your ideas, and after that complete the task. And in reading, it is recommended to do a note taking, because you can complete it in a separate paper, or you can divide your ideas.
Following, I'm going to explain the advantages of using a diagnostic test. First, it's important to know that diagnostic tests assist to the teacher to gain some objectives. For example, first, understand the current situation of the student, what's happening with the student. After, the knowledge about how to improve all the knowledge acquired during the last semester. And finally, the resources that the students count and how to make to put in action, for example, feedback or an extra classes to improve the learning outcomes. In this way, they can obtain a good results at the mid of the final term. The most important benefits that I can say it in a diagnostic test is, first, it can help student instructors adjust content and activities to encourage more effective learning. Also, it can help to the student understand the value of a lesson, module, or inquiry courses. And finally, it can make motivated the students with the information and try to practice during the class. And in conclusion, it demonstrates that the students and the instructor take care during the class. They can use all the resources that the teachers take in hand and use in the students to improve the learning outcomes and acquiring new knowledge and practicing during the class. Developing a critical thinking and analytical system to think, to understand complex situations on a real situation or into the social context to practice the English class. Thank you so much.